And we're back to talk that talk. So yeah, I got a lot to say about this topic. And for the viewers out there, this is my third video on the language series. Alright, Pete. So this was about a couple years ago. I was stateside helping my friend with his resume. And I've done plenty of them. And let me just say that there ain't no room for my vernacular on that page. So I went out of the way to make sure that his resume was spotless. And while I was doing that, his mom tells me, make sure you don't have him sounding all white now. And I'm thinking, what you mean? Now, I agree with what she said now, but what she really meant behind that statement was that she wanted me to preserve his black voice while at the same time being articulate. And I have no problem with that. So let's fast forward to a couple weeks ago where I felt compelled to find and share a book that sort of focused on the societal and political implications that come as a result of being an exceptional black man or woman while at the same time using African American vernacular to convey a message to the audience who does not share that same dialect. And then I found it. Articulate While Black, Barack Obama, Language and Race in the United States. So I'll address why Obama's verbal communication played a significant part in him becoming the 44th president of the United States. I'll talk about why it's so important for African Americans to learn how to code switch. And I'll end by sharing some research and works that are contributing to valuing and prioritizing English variation to public schools, both in the States and worldwide. So, first things first, Barack Hussein Obama. Now, with regards to linguistics, part of his success in becoming president was owed to his ability to convey messages to both Black America and white America by the way he spoke. He possessed a command on language that was able to shift towards and speak to specific audiences. Some might say that he developed this command of language and communication by his experiences growing up. Now, why should these truths be brought up in the first place? Well, I'm glad you asked. The reason why Obama's style shifting and speech patterns should be noted is because the closer he got to becoming president, the more white America began to fix their eyes on him and watch, sometimes in awe, to see if he was actually going to make history. And let's be real, the White House is still a very white space. With white space comes rules and standards made by white folk. And Obama is not new at navigating white spaces and black spaces. He was raised by a white woman in Hawaii and he graduated from Harvard. He knows how to navigate in these streets when white folks is watching. Now, Obama also knew how language directly linked to representation. Relatability goes a long way when the person who is president not only looks like you, but shares your same vernacular. Now, I'm not going to jump out the window like a lot of journalists and skeptics and say that, we voted for him just because he's black. A lot of black folk weren't sold on him, but he eventually won them over, and guess what? The majority of white America too. But how? Well, linguistically, he was able to articulate himself in such a way that white America was comfortable with him. At least that's what the book says. But I also like that the book mentions that Barack Obama's linguistic practices mirror that of many black Americans who negotiate black and white social worlds on a regular basis. So what's wrong with white folks saying that Obama is articulate? First, here's Chris Rock's take on how white folks viewed articulate black politicians. Colin Powell, to be exact.
Colin Powell can't be president. Get that. You know how I can tell Colin Powell can't be president? Whenever Colin Powell on the news, white people always give him the same compliments. Always the same compliments. How do you feel about Colin Powell? He speaks so well. He's so well spoken. He speaks so well. I mean, he really speaks well. He speaks so well. Like that's a compliment. Speak so well is not a compliment, okay? Speak so well, some shit you say about retarded people that can talk. What do you mean he speaks well? What, did he have a stroke the other day?
Or better yet, here's my homegirl Janelle's take on being articulate while black.
To all those people who said I don't talk black, I do talk black.
What is this?
Also, because it doesn't exist. I'm black. Therefore,
I'm black and I talk.
And I talk, you know what I mean? Therefore, yeah.
But if someone were to remind you, if they sounded like people that you were, speaking with in the past, this whole thing of talking black, what does that even mean?
there's this little twinge of self-hate that I think that comes behind it, right? When someone says that I don't talk black, it's the equivalent of, let me change that. When a black person tells me I don't talk black, it's the equivalent of a white person telling me, I'm gonna let you finish the phrase. What is it?
So when a black person says you don't talk black, it's a white person saying that you sound like us. Or
no. Or like a white person telling you, gosh, you're so well spoken.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I feel the same. I feel the same way as when a black person tells me you don't talk black, as I do when a white person says you're so well spoken. Because for me, let's not even deal with the white side yet, but with the black side, there's this idea that in order to talk black, you cannot sound educated.
Well, being called articulate or well-spoken by a lot of white folks means that their assumptions and expectations of you were low to begin with. Yeah? Look, I ain't mad at a brother who knows how to code switch, but I am upset when folks are so surprised that we linguistically jumped over a hurdle that was only set 2 inches off the ground anyway. Now, within the black community now, there are some consequences as to how articulate you can be. Now, you remember my example at the beginning of the video, so let me be clear. There is a distinction between acting white and sounding white. Now, phonetically sounding white is a slippery slope for a lot of black folk because you run the risk of not only putting on the front, but also losing trust with a lot of black folk. Look, growing up, Rick, Steph, and I used to always joke around my mom every time she picked up the house phone in the evening and put on her white voice. Yeah, she knew. And then folks are calling during the evening like, who in the world, ain't no friends of hers are calling during dinner time. Let's touch on this idea of linguistic marginalization and how it relates to housing discrimination. Radio host Angela Yee has a pretty dope story about this.
It's hard.
No one has figured that out.
I'm gonna tell you a story. My friend, she's black and her husband is white. So she went on Airbnb. She wanted to rent a house in the Hamptons for her and her family for the holidays. They turned it down. No, it's not available. Her husband went and did his in the same exact place, and they told him, yes, it was available.
Yes.
That's good. You use your husband's white privilege, like Wi-Fi.
Right,
That was
racist. That is so racist.
Yes.
Like, it was really only because she was black.
So the interview went on to ask, well, why would I want to stay in a racist person's house anyway? Well, I would generalize that and say, why would you want to work for an institution that doesn't value you or the vernacular that you speak more often? That's how the game goes. You've got to play the game. And see, that's where we disagree. To say that you got to play the game basically makes the implication that you can't do anything about the standards that have been set for minorities to marginalize them and basically encourage them or force them to assimilate. But there is hope now. This book gave some really dope insight to the fact that there are people and researchers who are working together to make sure that English variation can flourish. For example, there's the Continua of Biliteracy, an ecological framework for educational policy, research, and practice in multilingual settings. And there's the book called Understanding English Language Variation in U.S. Schools. So you see, you can change the game. You don't always have to assimilate to it. This has been the Black Curriculum.
Is round up to see you, that could arouse your ego. We got mouths to feed, so gotta stay true to who you are and where you came from. Cause at the top will be the same place you hang from. No matter